Raiders and the Steelers. Right now, the Steelers are 2.5-point home favorites over the Raiders. It is a total of 38 all the way to 39, depending on where you want to look at this. Steven, we know Raiders, miracle win, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Can he pick it back under center this week, despite the fact that Mitch Trubisky actually looked all right last week for the Steelers? But hey, Steelers, you made your choice. You're going to pick it. You got to, if he can play, you have to put him back in there. I guess my question to you is, are the Steelers a favorite over anybody at this point that has a pulse? I know that there are some dead teams that we would assume that they're better than, but the Raiders don't really fall in the dead team category. Are the Steelers better than any team by a field goal that isn't just completely, packing it in at this point?
Yeah, I mean, pulling up my power rankings now to tell you who I have behind the Steelers at this point, and it's teams like the Panthers and the Colts and the Bears and the Falcons, the Rams and the Cardinals and the Texans. So, I mean, that's the company that I have the Steelers in at this point. So, not really comfortable backing them as a favorite at this juncture, especially with a rookie quarterback. So I can tell you Mo bet the over 38.5 here, thinks there's going to be at least more points than that in this game. I did take the Raiders as a teaser leg here up to 8.5. And I think there's two ways you could play this. Take the Raiders to stay competitive in this game, or just wait for them to go up 14 points and bet the Steelers live on the money line at like 10-1 or something. So, I mean, It's amazing how the Raiders can't hold a lead in any of these games. They got away with it last week with a miracle play, but it's wild to me. But I think the Raiders are the superior team in this game. I don't trust the coaching worth a lick like we've talked about all year. But if I can get them to just not lose by more than 8.5, I'm pretty comfortable with that against this offense.
Adam, we've been talking about it all podcast, so I need to be thorough here. 8 degrees, 16 mile an hour winds with gusts to around that 20-ish range. So again, not a super concern on the wind standpoint, but at least somewhat breezy, and it will be bitterly cold here.
And you can look up the stats for yourself on Derek Carr in cold weather. They are legendary. Keep an eye out for that. To reference something Steven talked about, what you have in this matchup is Mike Tomlin at home against Josh McDaniels on the road. And I will give you one quick trip down Narrative Street if you want to look for something to play. If you want to talk about potentially a first half play. 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, right? Franco Harris died this week, right? If any coach in the league is going to have his team fired up coming out of the locker room, it's going to be Mike Tomlin. Now, I can add some actual football to that as well. It's not just that the Raiders had a miracle play on the Jacoby Myers-Chandler Jones play. Anybody in this room think that Keelan Cole's foot was in bounds on that touchdown pass? It was not. He had black shoes on in a black end zone and got away with the fact that he was clearly out of bounds, just one of many bungles by the officials last week. The Raiders should have lost that game before it ever got to the Chandler Jones play, and then you would have had them blowing a 17-3 lead at home against that New England Patriots team. So it's not by any stretch of the imagination out of the realm of possibility for them to do that against Pittsburgh. And I think the difference against Pittsburgh, and what would make me just a little bit wary of that teaser leg, is once TJ Watt came back, this became a real defense again. And Derek Carr, under the kind of pressure that a real defense could put on him, could be in a lot of trouble. He has, this year, 5 separate games in which he has thrown multiple interceptions. That ain't good.
It ain't good. I agree. This is one of the games I'm not incredibly excited.
I do agree. Of the teaser legs I've bet this week, it's the one I'm the least comfortable with. I will say that.